So we got Luke Shen, Eric Gustafson, Justin Hall on the back end, Ryan O'Reilly, Nola Chari, Zach Aston Reese, Michael Bunting, David Kampf, Alex Kerfoot, and Wayne Simmons. Who are some of the guys that you would look at in terms of UFAs to keep and move on from?
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna mention it here in the interview how Luke doesn't show his hand too much about what's going on behind the scenes, but you'd like to think that the way things went with him, big bruising defenseman, kind of solidified the back end, being a little bit softer and toughened it up, and got some veteran presence back there to kind of complement Gio, and Gio was slowing down a little bit there during the playoffs, so he was a great addition. I would like to see him signed up. I mean, honestly, Justin Hall. It's not Halsey's fault. It's not, he's a sixth defenseman, whatever, but they play him sometimes like a number two guy. And I mean, we've been on it ad nauseum on this show about how many times he's costed the team single-handedly, right? And that's just devastating at this level. And you'd think that they'd back off his minutes. And the head scratcher, and it's not Justin Hall's fault at all, is why do they keep putting him in that position? Why is he out there with a minute left in a 1-goal game, like when he's the most, the biggest liability on the defense core? It's a head scratching, and we need to move away from that. You can't afford to have that down the stretch. So I'd like to get someone a little bit solider back there. Whether you let him go for nothing, in my opinion, he's maybe not set up for this league quite yet. He does do some good things, but his mistakes are just too massive. We've talked about it. I would love to see him not be on the roster next year. No offense to him, but they used him so improperly, I believe. And I'm more interested in who we bring in. Can you move some of those guys? Like, I want them to fix the problem.
Again, it's tough to quantify what the problem is. And if you're thinking the core four is the problem, I don't know if it's likely to happen. But looking at the UFAs, Luke Shen's a guy profoundly I would look at bringing back. He wants to come back. It just makes a lot of sense in my world. Even a guy like Nola Chari, I think, could do some damage in the bottom six. David Kampf, I think, has had some really, really good, strong years with the Maple Leafs. Ultimately, it'll come down to price tag for him. And Ryan O'Reilly, we both know how we feel about the player. I happen to think he was banged up for the majority of his tenure, maybe with the Leafs. Maybe he wasn't. But I think he has another gear. And I think to get a full training camp, a full year under his belt with the Maple Leafs, I think would pay dividends, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So if the term and the money makes sense for Ryan O'Reilly, I don't know if it would work financially. That's a guy I would zone in on and say, hey, he makes too much sense to bring back. But ultimately, two sides have to dance here, and we'll see what happens. But again, Ryan O'Reilly is a guy I would circle in on.
Yeah, I would like to see a full year of him in a Maple Leafs uniform. I don't want to maybe commit, 3-4 years to him at high money. You can get yourself in a jam, but just say, hey, do you want to play here for a year or two? Here's a reasonable amount of money, and just see what he can do with it. And, maybe have, I don't know, some bonuses attached to it if you can. I don't even know what you can do anymore with the cap. It seems like they're so handcuffed, but it'd be nice to see him in a Leafs uniform and see how he can lead that team and be part of moving forward, because I do like the cut of his jib and his leadership qualities.